Thank you for joining CU Bands and Fans podcast. Our podcast is brought to you by Homegrown KIO. Homegrown KIO is on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. It is a stellar show featuring the great songs that have come from bands originating in Champaign-Urbana. Listen at 107.9 on your FM dial, at 1079WKIO.com, or ask Alexa to play WKIO. Hello, welcome to CU Bands and Fans podcast, where musicians tell their story. But tonight we have Chris Lewis from Homer, Illinois, who manages and runs Black Dirt Country Rock Facebook group. We've got a lot to talk about. This is really our first podcast with someone that also manages and created a group on Facebook that's growing and getting a lot of attention, and is there, I'm sure, to support local music. So also welcome my co-host, Zach Widdop. How are you doing, Zach?
Pretty well. Hello, everyone.
Good. So Chris, the Facebook group is called Black Dirt Country Rock. And the first question I want to ask you is, why did you choose to open a group instead of a page?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been battling with, because when I first opened it, I wasn't quite sure which one to use. And when I was looking at the descriptions of the two, one of them was more of just being music fans, and it wasn't necessarily a website where I was creating original material or anything like that, or it wasn't a business. So I went the group route, and now I'm starting to wonder if I made the wrong decision on that one. And when I've looked, I've looked to see if I could change it, and it looks like you have to start all over, and I'm really afraid to do that now that I've built up, quite a few people on my page now. So yeah, I haven't really kind of narrowed down if I should ever change it or not. Yeah, there's some limitations I've come across with the group, and maybe I'm just not tech savvy enough to know the difference between the two, but I try to just keep what I have right now, but eventually that could change.
Yeah, we started a page. Of course, it was 2012. I didn't really know that much about groups, and Facebook wasn't really pushing groups at that time. So we made it, which is kind of important because we made it a community page. We chose that, or I chose that template, because I knew it was going to be community wide. And but then we open groups for things like our podcast and original music. So we have a few groups on the side, which is beneficial because I think you have a little more control when you have a group. Because not everybody can follow you. They have to join the group. Sometimes they have to be pre-approved before you let them in, because as we were talking before about hacks and spam and just all that junk that gets in there.
Right.
So how many followers do you have currently, and how long have you had this group page?
So I started this page, it was right, I believe, at the beginning of COVID. So it was September of 2020.
Oh, wow.
And so, I started it because I've got kids now, I've gotten older. I used to go to concerts and stuff all the time, before marriage, I started my marriage, and we were traveling all over to concerts and everything, and really getting into it. And then, you start having a family, and, money starts getting tight. And part of it was because of COVID, I not being able to go out to the shows. And another part of it was just that, I wasn't getting out just because of family, obligations. So I decided, hey, this is a way that I'm already looking through all this YouTube videos, and I'm already doing the research anyways. I might as well share it to one location, and maybe other people will find it interesting too, or really into music. And I was trying to keep it kind of centralized. So it's just, I started off with just Illinois, and then I spread out just to the border states, because I started finding a lot more artists towards that, towards those states as well. And so that's where I've kind of kept it, and I'm trying to keep it focused on just those artists. But yeah, so then before that, I had started another page back in 2011, and it was Support Central Illinois Music. And so that's been running, it's still running to this day. I don't really get involved with it too much anymore. It kind of runs on itself. People can post whatever they want. I might check in once in a while, make sure there's no spammers or anything that's inappropriate, you know, and I'll stop that. But I also have, I don't know if you Mark Orsted. He also helped me run that page.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's kind of me and him started that one, and you know, it was mainly because at the time I was really into, you know, I had a lot of friends that are in bands. You know, I had Andy Marillion, and he was in Trailer Park Moses. I was friends
Oh,
with
gosh.
Tom Grassman, and you know, and all those guys, and then even some rock bands that I knew, other rock bands in the area. So I mainly was just kind of helping those guys out, and you know, eventually I just kind of got away from it because country is really my thing. I really love country music, and you know, even folk music to bluegrass to country blues. You know, I kind of like that's just kind of my thing I've always been into more than anything else.
That's what I was going to ask you, like why black dirt country rock, and what exactly is that? And do
Well,
you expand on that a little bit? Because I notice in your group that there's more there's just kind of a little bit of a mix, but it's not too far out from what you're
right.
focused on.
Yeah, so I got the idea from Black Dirt Country Rock kind of in two ways. One was back in probably 2008, I would say. I was really, you know, before then I was really just listening to the mainstream country on the radio, and I didn't wasn't aware of all this other stuff out there. And I would say about 2000, I would say 2008, you know, I started coming into learning about people like Hank Three, who I was really into, and that's kind of blew my mind. And then also at the same time, I was listening to all these guys that I've heard from Texas and Oklahoma area. So anything from Jason Boland to Cross Canadian Ragweed, you know, and so I just really dug into that, and I saw what they were doing. You know, they were kind of helping out each other in that Oklahoma, Texas area, and you know, they were all supporting each other. And there was there's a scene definitely down there that's separate from Nashville. So they have their own radio stations. If you ever travel through Texas, Oklahoma, that's all you hear is their own country music that you don't hear on what we hear on Wixie or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just really got into all that. And I thought, you know, the red dirt, black dirt, you know, that kind of thing. So I just kind of took that. And then also Joe Stamban from Metamora over Peoria, you know, he always had the black dirt, used that reference. And Matt Poss band down in Effingham would use that reference a lot. So I kind of stole it from Joe Stan. He had on a t-shirt, and I thought that's perfect. You know, that kind of describes what I'm looking for.
I think I have one of those.
Yeah, so just kind of describe the music in the area. You know, and you know, I really like the singer-songwriter stuff. That's really my favorite in the you know, in the area. And I'd much rather listen to that than cover bands, but I also help out cover bands as well, or tribute bands too.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
Yeah. Well, you answered one question, because I was going to ask you what's the difference between black dirt and red dirt.
Mhm.
And but you just answered that.
Yeah, just
Very
keep it Midwest, you know.
Yeah, just very well. And Joe Stam is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he's excellent.
His music, and more, being a photographer, I flip over his photos.
Mhm.
His band photos they're so freaking cool. I just love it.
He has great marketing. He has great marketing too. His wife, she knows how to, you know, wrap something together, come up with an idea, and go with it. And it's really,
Yeah, very clever. You know,
very cool. Mhm.
very clever. And then I was listening to, well, I know John David Daly.
Mhm.
And so I was browsing your page, obviously, because I was just, you know, getting
Mhm.
some information and that kind of thing. So I seen he had posted something on there, so I clicked on it and I went to Spotify. So that I've been listening to him for a while, because I love John.
Mhm.
I think he's so authentic and just the real deal.
Mhm.
I hope to see him just really, you know, expand. But so yeah, from your page I went to his, and was able to just like listen to him again and be like, I forgot how much I love him.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of interesting. Do you allow people to post in there?
Yeah,
you're not.
I would prefer that. I hate when it's just always me. I'm trying to get more people involved in posting their own stuff. I may post more than I probably should. I kind of fill probably people's pages up, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's I like seeing that come across our feed, because that means that you're paying attention
Mhm.
and you're working with it. You're not just ignoring your group. And that's kind of crucial when you're an admin or creator of a group. I know we tend to post a lot, but we have a lot that we're covering, like you. I mean, you're covering Central Illinois and then Indiana and Wisconsin and Iowa. Is it Iowa or Ohio or?
Yeah, Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, Indiana, Wisconsin.
Yeah. And what's
And
so
I know Kentucky's not really considered, I guess, Midwest, but I kind of consider it just because it's so close to us. I know it's really more Appalachia, but and also I like a lot of that music coming from there. So I want to kind of claim some of that too.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have some original artists that are, from Kentucky. So, I mean, it just gets to where it just kind of doesn't matter. Like everything's connected to, everybody's kind of connected in some way to somewhere. So,
And that was really the point of my page really was, I wanted to have the site where fans could connect with or learn about new people in the area, or connect with other fans and venues and things like that, and just vice versa. I've come across some artists have stopped me before and said, hey, because of your page, I learned about this person and got in contact with. Now I'm playing in another whole area, I'm or a new venue. It's just kind of trying to keep that connectivity and try to help everybody out. I really enjoy that. I love when people stop me and say, hey, your page got me here, or I learned about this person through you. I just love that. So
yeah, and that's kind of the purpose, is to keep everybody connected and listening and hearing and becoming a fan, or gaining a new fan, getting the music heard, getting their name out there, playing at a venue that they hadn't played at before. And venues are so important. And because I know in your group there are venues I haven't heard of. And I'm like, well, what's this place? So I've explored your page and found many different artists and groups and stuff that I hadn't heard of. So I appreciate that.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I learn about it. I'm finding people about every day. I've somebody else will come across my page, or somebody else will mention something, and be like, oh wow, or a new venue, and be like, oh, that looks really cool. Like there's this Hard Truth Hills over in Indiana, Browns County, Indiana. Like I want to go there so bad. I mean, it looks really interesting. The Psycho Silo Saloon in Langley, Illinois, I think.
Yeah, Langley.
Really a cool place. And then I think Jack Daniel was playing it, and David Woolridge were playing over at a place in Terre Haute that was like a kind of looked like a Louisiana swamp type thing. It looked really cool, So I love finding about those things too. So
yeah, and I see Jack, gets a lot of he posts his shows in there, and it'll come up on my thing. Jack Daniel posted in your group. So I'm like, cool, where's he playing? And of course we keep track of him, put him on our event list. But it's very helpful. And yeah, what you do is important. But it's obviously not your life. And it's just in addition to, it's a way for you to stay in the music and
stay connected to
and aware, meanwhile supporting and rising up, bringing forth those artists that wouldn't typically be found.
Mm-hmm.
It can get lost so easy on social media.
Oh yeah. Get a big wormhole and go down.
So much of it in our community. There's so much of it. It's like peeling an onion. It's just crazy. We're extremely lucky to have it all.
Yeah. I wish, I wish and I'm starting to see it. I think I hope the venues come around a little more, because I feel like we used to have a lot of venues in the area and not too much anymore. It seems like really, if you want to go now to see anything, Bloomington and Peoria and Springfield all have seems like a lot of interesting places to listen to music. Otherwise, you got to drive to Indy, and but hopefully around this area, now that COVID's kind of in the back burner, some more venues will pop up, like Champaign used to have.
It's been so odd since 2020. But then we had like Winston's in Sydney. I love Winston's, and especially in the summertime, they have the best patio back there. And they have live music.
Yeah.
Appreciate that so much. They're not large bands unless it's out back or in the summer, but kind of the smaller trio kind of a thing. I went and seen Billy Galt last weekend, I think it was, or the weekend before. I don't know. And Sydney Saloon used to have bands all the time, but they're kind of less frequent with that.
Just once in a while.
Yeah, once in a great while.
Which is a shame because they have a pretty larger venue.
Yeah, and they had like kind of redid that, so where they had that dance floor and
place to go. I mean, but back in those days, it was going to Bradley's on a Wednesday night, and then as soon as you left Bradley's, you go to Rose Bowl and listen to Feud Hillbillies play, and then you go to Memphis on Main on the weekends. And there was so many different places you could go listen to music then.
That's how it was when I started this. It was you could be out for hours going to all these different places and hearing all this different music. And I'd be out till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Just like you'd sit in the alley and talk to people, and musicians sometimes would come out and sit down and pull their guitar out and play just right there. And it was incredible. It'll never be like that again, but it's different now, but it's still great. No matter what, it's still a great music community with just phenomenal amount of talent.
I just feel bad, like, when I go to like Bloomington or Springfield and I see the crowds that they get and the venues that they have, and I just think, we're a college town, how come we just can't get that same is?
It seems like things have changed since I was in college. When I was in college, it was mostly students that went to all the places, the Red Lion and Panama Reds and Ruby Gulch and all these other places. And it's changed. The only place that seems to really get much student attendance now is the Canopy Club, and every place else is like people my age.
Yeah, our age group is the ones that go and hear live music and dance and all that. I was talking to Ian Shepard Saturday when I was doing Stephanie Pratt's birthday celebration, and we had a little chat just about that very thing, and earlier shows and all of that. It's changed from when I was young and we would go out, because that's where I would go, is Panama Reds and all of those places. But the age, we've stayed with live music. We're older, and live music is what we grew up on, and we stayed with it. And this whole, couple of generations, they've been raised with this and the internet, and that's what they stay with. And when they go out, I notice they go to sports bars, where they can just stand around and talk and cruise their phones and that kind of, and whatever, that's what they were raised with. So I don't know any better, but I think that if you get that into their hands and they see it, they may attend. They probably don't even know it's going on.
Could be. I don't know. I mean, even when, back in the days when I was running around, like, you had a hard time getting people to fork over $5 for a cover, and you're like, and then go down the street and go to listen to, a DJ play, and I always struggle with that thought. Is like, $5, everybody can give up $5 and you're going to spend that night anyway. So, I don't know why.
That's hilarious. That's
people
true.
Don't listen to, I guess, singer-songwriters as much as I do. I don't know.
There's a lot of places that don't charge covers. Huber's never charges a cover.
Yeah.
I don't think Pippa's ever charges a cover.
They
Very
don't
rarely one Goldie's 2, which used to be 1T's. Very rarely when they have a really big name band there, which isn't very often, they may charge a cover, but usually not there either. Rose Bowl seems to have more covers of
Yeah.
any place.
Yeah, but they have a lot more touring bands coming through
Yeah.
too. I know.
Yeah, that's true. They've got such a mix.
Yeah, it seems like a really big mix.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
have a lot.
I haven't been there in quite a few years. I know I might have bashed them a little bit when it switched over, just because I'm used to that being the home of country music, you know, and you know it started spreading out and doing other things there, and I just struggle with that, I think. But then, you know, they do get a lot of good bands coming through. I went and seen Kelsey Walden there this fall from Kentucky, and I've seen Dale Watson, and you know a lot of the guys have been around for years. Even Elizabeth Cook, who's on it, you know. But I've seen a lot of people coming through that place, and they still run a pretty good deal, you know, there with music.
Yeah, I had the same struggle you did. When you just said that, I was like, you know, I'm so guilty. I'm not kidding you. When I found out it was sold, it took me some time. And that set me back. And I literally cried. I'm not gonna lie. I cried for like a few days because I knew that was an end of an era that I just didn't want to see happen. And it was on the heels of us losing Paul at the Iron Post. So that whole time was just like, no, Paul died not long after the Rose Bowl changed over. So that was just an emotional upheaval. I felt like that's just my personal feelings on it. And it took me a long time to go, okay, this has happened. That's it. That's the end of that era. This is not what it used to be, and it never will be again. You know, so you got to climb on board because they're a venue that has, you know, local music. And I think Carrie Chandler does a lot of the booking, and
Yeah.
they who is it that runs it? She does her sound, but she's also a musician.
Kenna May.
She does a fantastic job with the sound, and the tent and the outside during the warmer weather is it's a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I love all of that now. It took me a minute. It just took me a minute.
They're doing a great job now.
That was my go-to. That was my go-to place, just to stop in, have one drink by myself, you know, see what band was playing, or if there was a band coming up, you know, and then. So yeah, I don't know. It was just that was my place. Yeah,
it was
they're doing a great job now, though. They're so diversified in the types of music they have there. It's like everything.
Yeah, they are doing a great job. And you know that you can't deny that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that if anybody got hold of it, you know, it was them, and that's what they're doing with it. I have so many memories in there, and just so that was my go-to as well. I mean, I would go in there, the dancing, there'd be just tons of dancing. We would just have a blast in there.
That's what I did. I would go and line dance in the Bradleys, and you know, go to High Dive next, and you know, there was all kinds of different places to go and big crowds of people to hang out with. So
yeah, so it was that was really that was just difficult on me personally, in a personal way. And you know, nothing against them or nothing against the Rose Bowl. And to this day I do miss that. You know, that it was Steve Campbell.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I could have just, when he told me he was selling that, I was like, I need to absorb this. Like, excuse me, but I can't believe you're doing this. But you know, he's not going to be there forever. But anyway, yeah. So at least they kept it still a music venue. So that brings me to the Iron Post, which I have no idea what's happening with that.
Yeah, I went there a few times back in the day, but I never really go there. They had a lot more classical stuff, if I remember right. I went there for a couple bluegrass bands. A friend of mine I went to college with came over and played, and got to see him and a couple other bluegrass bands play there, but yeah, it wasn't as much as my scene as the Rose Bowl or someplace like that. So
Yeah. But didn't somebody buy that, Zach? Iron
Yeah,
Post?
I look in that window every once in a while, and it appears that they're slowly doing work inside, but it seems to be really slow.
It's
They're not done with it yet.
been a couple of years. And then meanwhile, Alley Cat shuts down. And that bar that was not Alley Cat, doggone it, Crane Alley.
right now,
Right now, yeah.
Crane Alley, which that was shocking. That was shocking. And then next door to them, they own that one, and that shut down.
Blackbird
Yeah.
and then Nola's Rock Bar. Now it's
Yeah.
opened again under the name Gallery Art Bar, I believe.
Are they having musicians?
Yeah, they are.
Good. Fantastic. Yeah. So have you been there yet?
I haven't been there. I'm hoping I still have that sound system that Bill Demcock put in when it was Blackbird, because that was a good sound system.
Yeah. It was Bill's gonna just smack me stupid. Tech oh, forgive me, Bill. Me and him were just talking about this too. Those speakers and that tectonic. That's what it is. Ooh, got it. And those are fantastic. And yeah, that I hope they still have that. For God's sake, it would be dumb to move that out. Anyway, back to Chris. So what's is there any venues in Homer, or has there been, or
no, I would say the closest to me lately that gets bands through is Penfield. That little bar in Penfield, Last Call. They have quite a few bands. You know, I've got to know Colton Taylor here in the area. So you know, I've been following him around since he's kind of the closest artist that I have near me. And he's really good. And then now that he's with Zach Dable, right? And his family. So yeah, so I've seen a lot of bands over there. I guess Exit 210 is kind of opening up now again. So it looks like they're starting to get some music, which I really like. I think it's coming around. But really, that's it. I think you could go to Danville and go to Fatman's or something like that. But even Danville is
Danville's really, Danville's keeping it going.
Yeah.
You know, they
I
just
think
keep
Fat Man's was mainly having shows outside, and now that it's cold, they're not doing that so much.
What about Ogden? Like was it the Pink Pig?
Yeah, Pink
Yeah.
Pig's closed.
What happened?
I'm pretty sure that's gone, because I've driven by there at 9
But I mean-
o'clock on a Friday evening, and it's Saturday evening, and it's closed.
But St. Joe got the new rock. No, not St. Joe. St. Joe has rocks, but Royal has
Little Rocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
and they have music there all the time, which is fantastic. So we've
Yeah, I
covered
wasn't sure. I knew that the Rocks there in St. Joe had taken on the building next to them. So I know I think what I was told, I think, was that once they get done with Little Rocks, then they're going to go back. I think it's a building to the west just behind them. And I think they may expand that. So hopefully that, you know,
Ooh,
that
would
works
be-
in a year or two maybe. But yeah, I wasn't sure if Little Rocks had music yet. I hadn't ventured over there just yet.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
they have music.
Yep, all the time. Like Sarah Siders is there, like I don't know, she was just there. Yeah,
David Howie's played there a few times.
yeah, most of them. I mean, from the get-go, from the time they opened, they've had live music, which is fantastic. And I'm just gonna say kudos to St. Joe, because this past summer they had a lot of live music, and you know, festivals they had in the parking lot of IGA, and then and that new rib place.
Mhm.
That newer rib place, they have music in there. I know
Yeah, I
Tom
see
Grass.
Catlin Crozier plays there a lot.
Yeah. Jack's played there,
Yeah.
Daniel. So that's good. And it is truly our smaller communities that are keeping things vibrant.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, a lot more than just Champaign. It's these smaller towns around that are keeping things really vibrant. I know I have a lot of people contact me and go, "Hey, can you get us into Champaign?" And I'm like, "Why?" Well, we just want to play in Champaign. And I'm like, "You do better going to the surrounding areas. Champagne's kind of sewed up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of sewed up with our musicians that are from here.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of what I say is you do better over here looking, these
Yeah, I
surrounding.
mean, anywhere from, Sodom at Wayside has music during,
Yes.
there's all these, like you said, all these little
Buford's.
communities around that are perfect for it. But,
Yeah.
a lot of those places can't have a full band, but it's still nice to hear at least singer-songwriter stuff or, something solo.
Yeah. Buford's Pub in
Mhm.
Sedora's. They've got a great patio too. Great,
Mhm.
great deck. And they had a full band. They had I can't think of the name of them. It was a rock band, but it was packed. It was so packed. I mean, we went there and we were like, we can't even get served. It was just
Mhm.
so busy. And he does that throughout the summer as well. So, and then you have Lou and Denny's in Tolono, which I love Lou and Denny's, and their parking lot parties are the best all summer long.
Right.
So yeah, so we've got all that going on, and to continue to support all these surrounding small communities that are supporting live music is, and I will continue to do that and give them shout outs as much as possible because it's fantastic. So
One venue that I wish would do more would be the city center. Is for having such a great venue. I don't know what they'd use it for. Do they use it more for rental for different events, not really for music? Because I occasionally they'll get some bands through there, but not a whole lot, really.
yeah, that now they were doing like, concert after concert after concert,
Yeah,
and 2020 happened. And then they were kind of slow coming back from 2020, but what they did was Fat City was next to the city center.
mhm,
And they decided to connect Fat City to the city center. So because before you had an alley in between
mhm,
the two buildings,
right.
and Fat City had a restaurant. Like you could go up and they had a menu and all of that. And then the city center was where the music and all of that was. Well, they connected them from the inside. So there's no outside.
Mhm,
They're not apart anymore. They're one building, and they removed the restaurant and they added a bar and some bathrooms. So it's fantastic. It made it
mhm,
more spacious. In the Fat City side, there's tables and chairs. In the event side, there's basically standing room is
mhm.
when you
Yeah, I went
concert.
to one show last summer.
Who'd you go
And
see?
I did. I'm trying to remember now if it was, gosh, it was. Boy, I can't remember. It was Casey Donahue or
Hmm.
I can't remember now who it
Oh
was.
man, Casey Donahue. Oh, God, I love him. Anyway, so then it was kind of just because they had all that construction, they also put in a parking lot, redid the parking lot. So then they started booking national artists
Mhm.
again. But it's just not boom, 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 boom like it was. It's just kind of infrequent. They're getting ready for decade of decadence coming up, I think on the that's coming up soon. And then they also rent it out as an event center for like weddings and receptions and corporate
Right.
events and things like that. So it's just kind of a various degree of different events. So yeah, I don't know. It was the go-to for national artists. And then State Farm Center is starting to have, which is shocking to me. I'm just gonna say it. It is kind of shocking to me that they have, like, let's say the Eagles tribute band
Mhm.
at the State Farm Center. I would think that would work better at the city center.
Yeah, yeah.
You would think so.
Fill the State
Because
Farm Center with the Eagles tribute band.
yeah, because I mean, you would go to a show like that, and yeah, you're only going to get a quarter of the building filled. I don't know.
but I honestly, and if I could suggest this to the city center, and I will, I do their photography for their events and that, but I would suggest that they have tribute bands in. That's a big thing right now. Virginia Theater's having Rumors, the Fleetwood Mac tribute band on the 15th.
Yeah,
Canopy Club. Go ahead.
there's three that I've featured on my page. One is Tennessee Whiskey. They're up from Chicago, so he's a Chris Stapleton. There's an Eric Church one, Ultimate Eric Church tribute. And then I see that that new venue in Paxton has, for New Year's Eve, has Kid Kentucky from Kentucky, and that looks like fun. I might check that out. I don't know. I'm not typically into those. I like more original music, but that could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do all of it. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'll go to covers, I love it. And but I'm curious. Somebody bought me tickets to this Rumors. So I'm gonna go because I love Fleetwood Mac. But
Right.
it kind of blows my mind a little bit. I'm like, this is basically a cover band of that band. So I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Well, what do you think now? Just to kind of branch off of that, I've been looking at getting some tickets for shows lately, and like concerts, like a big show like Tyler Childers or Turnpike Troubadours, and
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
tickets are so outrageous. I don't know how anybody can afford them.
What happened?
I don't know.
What happened? I'm serious. What
Yeah.
happened that these tickets went insane like that?
Even for comedians, I've looked into comedians and they're outrageous too. I mean, you're talking $200, $300, and I'm like, I'm not going to spend that. I'd rather go down to the local bar and listen to original music from somebody there than go sit in a more uncomfortable venue and pay a bunch of money and be in debt.
It's like, I don't know when that happened or why it happened, but it definitely happened, and it's not good.
No.
Anytime somebody's coming and like you'll post it or whatever, and then people start to comment, well, good God, I don't have enough money. Just for the GA is insane.
Right, exactly.
I don't understand it. I don't know why why they've done that.
Mm-mm.
Especially,
I don't know who's getting the money. I don't really understand the whole thing of it.
I don't either. But it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Who did what is your are you just gonna just let this coast and ride with it, or do you have plans to grow this in a certain way? Or
Yeah, I mean, my life's pretty busy with kids and all that stuff, and I'm really involved in different things in the community. But yeah, I'd like to. My next step is just to get a logo and get maybe some merch developed, because I'd really like to maybe set up a booth at a show or something and just sell, either have something in connection with the artist and sell some of their stuff, as well as some stickers or koozies or whatever it is, t-shirts, of my stuff. And then I've thought about branching out, do a little more, like maybe some like podcast, or maybe set up some shows. That's something that I've never really done before, so I'm really trying to learn. My friend of mine's Keith Gibson with Clubhouse Lounge Radio.
Yeah.
And he put on that good concert last year over at Bargenta.
Yes.
And so he was going to do in this year, and hopefully that happens. But yeah, I'm trying to have him kind of help me out here with some of this and talk with some other people, get some ideas. But yeah, I'd kind of like to kind of grow that a little bit. So hopefully there's more coming next year where, a little bit more involved than just sharing.
How quickly did your group grow?
It grew really quick. Once I started getting the word out and getting to know some artists, and then from there branching out, it started just compounding. And there's times where it's kind of a lull where nobody's joining, but I might get 2 or 3 a week. But yeah, hopefully it builds a little more. So, one of the things I'm trying to decide, I'm struggling on my page, is I post a lot of people's shows. Like I only do the events, so that shows up on my event page so somebody can go to that on my events and see all the shows that's playing for that weekend. or that day. And so I've been doing that, but I know if somebody lives in Kentucky that's following my page is really be interested in what's happening in Indiana or something like that. So I'm struggling on that. I know a lot of artists like me sharing that, but I don't know. I'm just I don't know if I want my page to be more of that or more of videos of their shows and or more things that are live, I guess.
Yeah, I think that as you go along, that you will figure that out, and you'll figure out what you really want to highlight mostly. When I started ours, uh, it grew rapidly fast, and that's why I ended up going, I need somebody else
Mhm.
to to help me with this, and thank God I got Zach. And then we began the event list, and I got hurt. Zach took that over, and then he's kept it since, because I can't hold a candle to how he does that event list. I don't know anybody. It's a lot of work for him, but he does a
Yeah.
tremendous job of it, and he rarely misses a thing. I mean,
Yeah, I send people to your page a lot because people be like, "Hey, what's going on this weekend?" And I'll be like, "Well, I've got this on my page, but you can go here too." And they got a good list of all kinds of music. So um,
yeah, we try to keep it more in, this area.
mhm.
Um, However, I do love the Black Dirt country rock, um, because you're bringing out bands and music that's typically just not, you don't think about,
Mhm.
or not heard. So that's so important that you're like kind of focused in on that.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think that the artist appreciate it. I don't know if they tell you that very
Yeah,
much.
I've had a few that really appreciate it. They
Yeah,
tell me
I
quite
think,
quite often actually.
yeah, and then you also get engagement. Now there's a lot of groups, and you would agree, I'm sure. There's a lot of groups that open up and they're not maintained.
Mhm.
They open up, and then whoever gets busy, and then they're just not paying attention to it, and then all this stuff is in there, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
So and you can tell too. It's like
Yeah.
this group's not really maintained by anybody. There's no admins. They're not watching the post. You don't know. It's just like mayhem,
Mhm.
and you watch yours, and people engage in it.
Yeah.
That
So what I try to do is when I started it, I wanted to keep it open for the most part, but you got to get approved to post anything because there is people that post about anything, and I've caught a few that have found ways around to get on my page. Or I think there was once I had somebody was somehow posting some pictures, and I still never figured out how they got it on my page. But anyways, yeah, so I get that occasionally, not as much as I used to because I do keep track of it quite a bit. um, but yeah, so the other things that I do on my page to stay active is every Monday morning I post kind of like a series. It's called New Music Monday Video of the Week, and so it's all the major videos or well-produced videos, and I usually post those every week, and I feature them on my page. And then on Friday, I feature all the brand new singles and albums from anybody that in the Midwest in this area. And so I keep that Spotify playlist and I post that every Friday. So that's kind of
that's
the two things. That's the two things that I'm trying to keep going. I'm not get burnt out on it, hopefully, because there is a lot more people every day. I'm coming across a new person. So, and then after the first of the year, hopefully, last year I did it when I didn't have as many artists that I follow, but hopefully after the first of the year, I'm gonna have like a best of list, um, you know, for the best mainstream album, best because there is a lot of mainstream artists that are on the radio, like Bailey Zimmerman right now is really popular, and he's from Louisville, Illinois. There's a lot of artists that were on The Voice or uh, American Idol who were in the area too. So a little bit of everything, really. So that's kind of how I'm trying to keep it engaged right now.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. That's great. So back to the podcast and that, forgive me, I'm going to edit this because what the heck is his name? You just said.
Bailey Zoom or
No. That you talked to about. He did that thing in Bargena.
oh,
What?
Keith Gibson. Yeah, he's a buddy of mine.
All right, I'm gonna edit that out. That part's gonna be cut. So yeah, because Keith had such a cool thing going.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what happened where he doesn't. I'm not seeing him do that anymore, but he would like go to these venues and do interviews.
Yeah,
And I thought that was so cool.
yeah, he's still planning on doing that. I think, he's had some other kind of personal stuff come up lately, but I think he's still planning on doing that. And that, yeah, he had that bar stool. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's where he interviewed, and that's where I learned from some people too. But yeah, that was a great thing. And that's, he kind of took what I was wanting to do, but he's more of a go-getter than I am and have more time probably than I am. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm trying to learn from him a little bit on some of that.
I could see, Chris, I could see you doing that. I think you would be really good at that. You're just going to these different places and just, yeah.
Yeah, I thought about doing that. I usually don't like to keep it about myself. I don't like to take the spotlight or anything or be part of it. So I usually like the music to be the main feature. But
well,
yeah,
but that's
maybe,
what you're doing is you're featuring a venue or you're featuring the artist. I mean, that's what you're doing, but you got to have somebody that's, that's hosting it, somebody that's got followers,
mhm.
To
Yeah,
get
then
that.
maybe that's something I'll do. I'll look into this next year. It's been on my mind, but I just haven't really pulled the trigger on it. And I'd also like to interview not just artists, but some of the owners of some of these venues as too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of cool venues that I think deserve to be noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I mean, I'd tune in. I'd follow that. I think that was he had a great idea with that. It was it was fun to watch because he would go to the venue and then the artist would meet him there, and it wasn't like there wasn't music playing or anything loud, and I loved it. That now we decided to do a podcast because I've been wanting to do that for a long time, and I was like, last January was it? It's been over a year now. God, it was last winter. I think I was like, well, let's just do it. Been wanting to do it. It's winter now. Let's do it. And so we did.
So
And
how'd you learn what like equipment you need or anything like that? Can it be as little as like this?
well, when you know musicians,
Right.
musicians and
Right.
sound engineers and all those guys. So I would ask around and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. What do I need? And then I actually went to YouTube and was like, what do you need to set up a podcast?
Like I thought it would be interesting, and maybe somebody could steal my idea. I don't know, but but would be just a similar thing. But let's say sit around a fire and and have that, or like certain event, or like go fishing with somebody and interview them, or something fun like that. That's just not just sitting down or sit at a bar, and talk with somebody. But
yeah, but no, that's fantastic. Do it like when you get some time.
yeah, that's the hard part right now. Two little boys,
maybe you don't have to do it every week, maybe just once a month or something, but
yeah.
that would be fascinating. I mean, I would tune in and I would share it with everybody and that, but
Yeah.
I love that. It's a different atmosphere, it's they're casual, you're casual. I love it. What we're going to do next, believe it or not, and nobody better steal my idea. If they do, whatever. But
Right.
so what we're gonna do next, probably gonna start this probably January. That's always a good time to start something because there's not a whole lot happening. It's not as active as summer. Is we're gonna do a live reactions to people's songs. Like, we're going to pull somebody. It could be anybody. It could be a fan. It could be somebody we know, somebody we don't know. We're going to pull them, and then we're going to play somebody's song for them and get their reaction.
I like that idea. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
Kind of scary. And
Yeah, I join in. I'll comment on it.
we, so, and yeah, you could, like, you know, send us some artists or whatever, some music,
Sure.
you know, from yours. But I did post about it. I said, what do you guys think about if we did this? Because I wanted the musicians kind of like opinion.
Mhm.
Definitely. I didn't want to just, you know, go out there and do that and playing
Right.
their music. I would let the musician know your song is what we're going to be playing. And but I would let them know that, definitely. And is it okay? But I did post it that's what we were going to do, and it was quite a great response. So I'm gonna start that probably in January this year.
Well, you just made me think of another idea too, which somebody probably steal this, but would be like, you know, I feature videos from people, music videos every Monday, and, you know, like introduce a video, and, you know, whether it was an online thing and people comment on it, or a live, you know, just kind of, hey, here's his new video, you know, and bring some people out. It's kind of like a, you know, I guess when like indie, what I'm trying to think of, like make a movie, you know, how they'll do like a preview for somebody, you know, a group of people, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe that'd be interesting.
yeah, that would be great. See, you're just going, and we, you know, we've gotten to the point where I was going to ask you too. Do you have any other social media at all, or is
No,
Facebook?
right now it's just been Facebook. I started looking into, gosh, I'm trying to think which one it was, but it just never seemed to really work for what I was trying to do. It's just, you know, the format of it never worked. I'd love to try something else, but Facebook right now just seems to be the best. I mean, I wish I'd go back to MySpace. That was my favorite. But yeah,
I
I
say
don't.
bring MySpace back. I say
I do
let's
too.
Yeah, I
bring
wish
it.
they would bring it back like the old days.
Yeah, I
Then you
mean,
can have a personal page, and you can have playlists and videos, and you can do whatever thing you want. And it was so much cooler.
you get to only have, you know, your space with your stuff. Yeah, it was my space. It was fantastic. And then, of course, now everybody's on Facebook, which is turning into it's just Facebook is just a nightmare anymore to navigate because of all the spam. And I don't know why they're not taking care of it. I mean, on our podcast group, I had to hit that I have to approve everything, because we were getting slammed hard with porn.
Mhm.
I mean, it was just boom, boom, boom. And I was like, whoa, 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 no. No. So I have to like go through, and now it catches it and it says we've removed this post, or this post wasn't allowed or whatever because of that. And I hate wasting all my time with that. It ticks me off,
Right.
you know. Or here's the other thing. I'll bring us up, and then we'll start closing out. The fact that, and this has happened to some musicians recently, which is just really scary, is their Facebook page has been taken down, removed completely, and they have to start all over.
Mhm.
I don't understand that. How is Meta allowing so much crap on Facebook to happen? How come they're not catching this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think even something similar to that happened to Jeb Brown's, you know, the
Yeah,
Riverton, the Backroom Lounge over in Riverton. I think something happened with his too, and he had to kind of start all over.
and he had thousands and
Oh
thousands.
yeah,
I don't get it. And that's sad. That's why we're on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify and God, we're LinkedIn. I mean, we're everywhere.
yeah.
Because
I've
I'm
looked
like,
into Spotify. I've thought about, you know, is there something I can do with like TikTok? I don't really like the TikTok app,
I don't either.
but I don't know. I just haven't found a better one yet.
I'm like, do I feel that pressure to get on TikTok? No,
That's where all the artists go, you know.
I know
And,
it. I'm like, should I get on TikTok? No, I
and
can't talk.
I really don't want another social media to have to run either. I just want one location because it's a lot of work. I mean, and I do it for
Oh,
fun, but I also don't want it to consume every extra
Right.
second I have.
It takes a lot. It does. I don't know if people realize or not, but especially when you're working with music
Mhm.
and making sure, everybody gets that certain thing gets attention or shared or whatever.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
It's a lot of work. I mean, we're at it. I'm constantly at monitoring. And then, because it's music and it's musicians, I'll get messages 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right, as they're starting a show or leaving the show.
Yeah. Was you gonna say something, Zach?
oh yeah, by the way, sometime in the last half hour or so, I went to your Black Dirt country rock group and I was gonna join it. I found out I was already in it. So
Oh,
I don't remember when that happened, but I'm already in it, so maybe I can help out with that with things once in a while.
sure. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, we're there for you. Let us know if there's anything we can do. Well,
Yeah,
obviously,
definitely.
we're going to share your page on this podcast, and we'll also post and share, let people aware and send them that way. And then, yeah, we're excited for what you're doing and want to see, if you do decide to, hey, I'm gonna add this in there, then let us know. We'll
Okay.
you got our support. We appreciate you letting us share things on your page. I share things on in your group quite often. I think I
Yeah.
do. I think I do.
Yeah, I see your stuff quite a
I'm like,
bit,
"Jeff, don't do that too much."
and I get quite a bit of people want to post, but sometimes I feel like it gets outside the realm of what I'm trying to contain it as, artists that are a little farther out. And it's kind of like, I do like their music and I want to promote them, but I just feel like if I start to get too much, it's going to be overwhelming and I can't control it.
It is. And then you're going to be like, you're not going to want to maintain it anymore. You're just
Right.
going to, it's too much. And
Yeah.
so seriously, you don't have to approve everything that I want to share. Sometimes I get share crazy. I'm like, let me share.
Oh, I do.
No, sometimes I just do. And and a lot of times, especially if it's not crucial news or something, just, you don't have to approve. I won't be offended. Trust me. If it's got nothing to do with lifting up this, then
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to. It's fine. So, Chris, we appreciate you being on our podcast. Thank you. We look forward to what all you got going on and your ideas that you're going to bring forth, and we'll definitely have the Black Dirt Country Rock Facebook group link right on this podcast. So, have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Don't take